Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to this special edition of Real Talk. It's election time, everybody, and while many of us are tuned into the presidential election, which we should be, one thing we know is all politics are local, and we have a hot election going on right here in the city of Flint. Now, I just want to give a little foundation before we get into this, but we all know February 24th, of this year, Councilman Mays passed away, leaving a huge void and vacancy to fill in the first ward. So City Council was left with the task to fill the vacancy. And in March, they appointed Leon El-Alamin to Councilman Mays' seat. Now, Leon sits in that seat, and now the community has a decision to make. The community is calling into question, however, his character, and character matters. People are questioning, should he be the voice of the first ward? So last week, there was a clip from ABC 12 because it will talk about some of the questions and concerns that the community is talking about and dealing with as far as Leon El-Alamin being the representative for the first ward. And I want you to see this clip before we get into the next part of the show.
Flint's current first ward councilman is facing some scrutiny over a video that has surfaced on social media. The video shows Leon El-Alamin holding a gun at the front door of his rental home.
El-Alamin said that the evicted tenant illegally changed the door locks and set up security cameras during the eviction. Our Alyssa Irwin spoke with El-Alamin about the video and what he has to say as he continues to campaign for a seat on Flint City Council.
Leon El-Alamin was appointed to Flint City Council in March of this year. He says the video that is now circulating on social media was captured in 2022.
I had to take a previous tenant to court to evict them. They was refusing to leave the home. They had no lease. They were living in the house illegally. I went through the court process. I won in court properly twice. After you win in court, they give you like a set amount of days. A person has to officially be out of there.
El-Alamin said the day the video was captured, he and his maintenance man were going to clean the home. The tenants were supposed to be already moved out. But El-Alamin said because of the previous climate with the eviction and issues he had to take to court, he wanted to be prepared as the police had been called numerous times because of landlord-tenant issues.
Rolled by and seeing the boyfriend of this individual in a hoodie going into the house with something in his pocket, like a gun. I alerted my maintenance guy and said, hey, I just seen a guy with a hoodie going up to the house. I'm gonna go get my registered pistol. You might want to carry yours.
El-Alamin had previously had his felony charges expunged, meaning he can legally possess a firearm, even showing us the court orders and his license to carry, claiming everything was done by the books. He explained the video was brought up at a city council meeting when he was first appointed.
And I addressed it then. They have investigated me, they did it, and I welcomed it. I'm not hiding anything. I would not put myself in this position if I couldn't be in this position.
El-Alamin said he will continue to help others receive a second chance as he continues to live his.
I'm not here to try to harm no one, but I don't want to be harmed either. And I'm tired of just my name being slandered, bashed, all this nonsense.
Carol McIntosh is challenging El-Alamin for the first ward seat in
And we're back. And, there's always two sides to the story. There's always two sides. And we talked about what Channel 12 didn't show you. There were some questions after many of us watched that interview. One was, where was the other side of this story? So today, I want to thank you. We are here with Nakia Wakes, the victim. This was your home.
Yes.
That Leon El-Alamin came to.
Yes.
This was your home. You and your son lived here.
Yes.
to where that the video that we're going to show a little bit later, where this took place. So first, let me just say thank you for allowing us to come into your home.
Thank you.
And thank you for agreeing to tell your side of the story, because as soon as I saw that, and I had a lot of people saying, well, first, where was the sheriff? How did some of this stuff happen? But when we watched the news clip from Channel 12, did you see that?
Yes, I did.
And what were your thoughts when you saw that?
I was furious because it's lies. It is lies. And my son was 12 years old at the time and was home alone. I was at work when Mr. El-Alamin came to my house with that Draco.
Mm-hmm. 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 Wow. Okay. You were at work.
Yes,
Your
I
son
was.
was at home.
My son was at home alone. I'm a single parent.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all look me up. I've been running for a long time with this water crisis as a single parent of 2.
Well, then let me ask you this question, because we saw the interview that Channel 12 did.
Yes.
Did they reach out to you to get your side of the story? Because usually when the news, if you have a reporter doing a story and they're investigating, you try to get both sides. You want to do a fair and balanced story. So did that happen for you?
No, they never reached out. Never heard from them.
Did you try to contact them?
Yes, I did.
And what happened?
I tried to contact one of the news people that I knew. I knew her number personally, and she told me that she couldn't do anything with it. So I left it at that.
She couldn't do anything with what, your story?
Yes, with my story.
Okay, so now that's the video of him coming to the home, taking the door
Off.
right.
Yes. The reason why he had to change the locks is because he had entered my property as I was renting without my permission. So I ended up calling 911 on him, telling him I know it was my landlord because nothing was stolen. He just went through and he damaged my property, poured water all throughout my basement, inside my washer, dryer. Anybody else breaking in, they would have stolen my flat screen TVs. I had a 65-inch, a 55-inch. My son had games. Anybody else would have took all that.
Do you think
They said I did not have proof, so I ended up getting cameras on my house because of that.
And so your camera is, we need to show that video in case anybody missed it, because your camera is what got this.
Yes.
Okay.
They literally walked up, as they were walking up, they was walking up into my camera that he didn't know I had.
He was so focused on doing what he was doing. He didn't
even
see
know
the
he was being
camera.
recorded.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's take a look at that.
We're supposed to be out of here, man.
Not a problem.
Yeah, it's that bullshit, man. Fuck it, it's changes, D. Or you think I should wait?
It's up to you.
Man, he done signed off on this shit. She had all this time to get this shit up out of here, bro.
I don't know what that would mean legally if you did it, but.
Once he signed it, I posted it. I have right to come in his bitch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can change this out. Fuck it. Change it out. Whatever she bust and want this shit.
And first, I do want to say thank you to 810 Flint for that video, for getting that to us. So we watched this video. You said you were happy to come on.
Yes.
Why was this so important to you to come here today?
Because I feel like my voice need to be heard, and my child was never protected through this. I called the police, they did nothing. You can literally hear my son on the call with the 911 dispatcher saying, my landlord is here with a Draco. I didn't even know what a Draco was.
And we know now,
for a
don't we?
man to bring a Draco for a single mother and her child, what was he going to do with it if I would have been home?
Well, let me ask you this: were you ever given eviction papers? Because you could hear him saying, they're not supposed to be here." So he's implying that you were evicted.
Well, me and Mr. El-Alamin had been going to court starting in April. We kept going back. We went in April. It was dismissed because he changed paperwork on the court documents, which I thought was illegal. They dismissed the case, but I thought he should be locked up because if I changed the paperwork, they would lock me up. But they dismissed the case. I ended up going back the next month. They dismissed it again. I have water included in my rent, and he had my water turned off on me and my child. So we had to go around the corner to fill up buckets of water to get through him turning off the water on me with water included in my lease.
That's what I was, while you were telling the story, I was going to pull that up because I did see a lease and it said that water was included up to a certain amount of money.
And when he talked, he said there was no lease. There was a lease. He signed it and I signed the lease.
And water, let me say that again, was included in the lease.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, and you were never served papers. So
no, ma'am. Every time we went to court, it was dismissed to where I could still stay in the house. So with it being dismissed, that was still my property until the eviction went through, which it did not go through at the time. Like I said, we had been going back to court 4 or 5 months, and every time dismissed. I have all the dismissals of all the court dates. So I don't know what he's talking about.
And you were never served eviction papers?
Never.
Okay. You know, that was one of my questions, because usually when you're being evicted, oh, okay, you're gonna put those, put that up. And now this confuses me because I see on this paper, it will say Leon El-Alamin, it says Abdullah, it says Made Institute, but they all have the same address. What's going on? What is that about?
I don't know neither. I'm like confused with that also, because how can one person use 2, 3 different names? I mean, anybody doing something like that to me is trying to hide something or something.
And I just pulled up also, here is the fixed term residential lease. And it says the rent and water is included and tenant will pay any bill great or over $125 for water.
Yes,
so when you paid the rent, your water was included.
Yes,
but something happened with your water.
Yes.
I think it got shut off?
Yes, he had it shut off with water being included in my rent. And that was another reason when we went to court.
Okay, so, and I want people to see that right there. You can see where he has that highlighted for $75.
Right, and it was not over 125, so why was it shut off? He deliberately shut me off because I kept winning in court and the judge kept dismissing the case. I think that's what I believe. But I called and talked to the late Mr. Eric Mays, may he rest in peace, and he told me he is violating the MCL 600 dot something. I have all of that written down, and that I needed a paper trail on him because he was doing stuff illegally to his tenant.
Which is you.
Yes.
Now, you used to work for him.
Yes, I did.
So talk to us about, because you had a relationship, you all worked together.
Yes.
So what happened to make him say, oh, you got to go. You got to get out of here. If I got to turn your water off, if I got to come up there with the Draco, you got to go.
Well, what had happened is Mr. El-Alamin, for one, just started like popping up at my house. And I'm like, look, you have to call me you know, you have to respect. I rent here. You
Mhm.
just can't pop up here when you get ready. And I guess he like got an attitude. I had got a text from him one night to come to his house, and I'm like, no, we're keeping this
Oh,
strictly
he's trying
business.
to hit on you.
Yes, we're
Okay,
keeping this.
gotcha. Let's
We're keeping this strictly business. I work for you.
Okay.
Not gonna work with you and be in bed with
And
you
play
also.
with you too.
No, no, that's not me.
Right.
Plus, like I said, I'm a single parent with
Mhm.
my son in the home. I don't even bring people in my house like that.
Okay, so now wait a minute. Because in the Channel 12 news clip, he said it was a man there. He saw a man. He saw somebody with a hoodie going into the house. He said, didn't he say it was someone you knew?
Yeah, he said my boyfriend.
Your
but
boyfriend?
I don't have a boyfriend. I'm a
Okay.
single parent.
Okay.
And who was in the house with the hoodie is my 12-year-old son, home alone while I was at work.
I mean, they had to know that your child was at home alone and this happened. I mean, what did that do to you?
It tore me up because I could not protect my son. I mean, in the clip, you can hear him dialing 911, scared to death, talking, crying, saying that.
Oh, we're gonna play that?
Yes, my son was terrified. He has trauma behind the Flint water crisis and
Mhm.
now trauma behind Leon El-Alamin coming to my house with that Draco with my son there.
Have you had any conversation with him since all of this took place?
No, never.
Yet, here's something else that's interesting to me, because on September 28th of 2022, we have two forms the same day, PPO forms. Now, you did one.
I did
that
one on
day.
me and my son, but I was told that I had to have, because I told them I got this man coming to my house on video, and they told me I had to have all of that before they could sign my PPO. They needed everything.
And he did one that evening, same day. But was this the day before he came to your home?
Yes,
So he fills out a PPO on you,
when he came to my house with the Draco.
and then he comes to your house with the Draco,
Yes, ma'am.
and nothing happened.
Nothing happened. I went to the sheriff's department, let them know I have this man on camera. He is my landlord coming into my house. I gave them a video. I emailed them the video. I got an email back from a lieutenant. I can't remember his name, but it's in my paperwork.
Mhm.
And he said that Prosecutor Levy said that there was nothing he can do with it. And I'm wondering how, and there was a minor 12-year-old child in the home. How is there nothing that you can do? So I didn't feel safe. Me and my child was not safe.
And you reached out to the authorities that are supposed to keep you safe,
Yes. Reached
that are
out
supposed
to
to
them.
protect you. Not only did you reach out to those authorities, you reached out to the news media
Yes, I did.
that is
And
supposed to.
couldn't get no protection from nobody. Couldn't nobody.
They wouldn't even
touch-
tell the story.
They wouldn't even tell the story.
So why do you? I mean, but they gave
Everybody
him a
was
story.
talking about that's landlord tenant issue. That's civil. No, my child is involved. That's beyond civil. Now it's not civil. This is criminal. My child was a minor. If I would have went to Mr. El-Alamin house, Nakia Wakes would be in Genesee County, believe me.
Mhm.
But he can get away with it because he's Leon El-Alamin Maid Institute. That's
Is
crazy.
he Maid Institute? Is he Abdullah?
Right. Or he's Leon Wilson. That's who he is, the criminal
And
from back in the day.
oh wow. Okay, so here it is. Leon Wilson, Leon El-Alamin, Abdullah LLC, the Maid Institute, Abdullah Building Performance. That's a whole lot of names.
How can one man have all these names?
Why does one man have all these names?
Right.
And what's going on? And that's why the community is calling into question his character, because he's representing the first ward. He's the voice of the first ward. And so we have an opportunity to say, doesn't matter if he comes and threatens and scares a minor. Doesn't matter if, I mean, with an assault weapon.
Yes.
This
Out
isn't
of
just a
all
gun.
weapons,
And I
why
wanna
would you
know-
have a Draco? I mean, usually people carry a handgun.
And I know
A
we've
Draco
got,
for a single mother and her child? A Draco? Wow.
and here's the other thing, I got some papers up in here. Because when I was looking at that, and I saw in Michigan, it says brandishing a firearm in public is a misdemeanor offense. The definition is pointing, waving, or displaying a firearm in a threatening manner with the intent to cause fear in another person. He did that.
He
Penalty
did.
up to 90 days in jail, a fine of up to $100 or both. Did that happen?
No, ma'am.
Additional consequences, loss of concealed weapons permit for a minimum of 8 years. Did any of this happen?
No, ma'am. None of that.
And how was this explained to you that he was not held accountable? I mean, we see in the city of Flint, a lot of people don't get held accountable for criminal behavior.
Yes.
So what did they tell you?
Like I said, the police told me that this was a landlord-tenant matter and this was civil. But like I told them, it went beyond civil when he came to my home with my minor child. That's criminal. That should be criminal.
It sure
That's
should
no
be.
longer civil.
So now, who was the judge that you were in this case?
The judge that kept dismissing the case was Judge Crawford.
But that was dismissing it in your favor.
Yes.
Okay. So what happened?
Like I said, we started going in April. It got dismissed. May, it got dismissed.
And that's
just
why you
kept
never
doing-
got eviction papers.
Right.
Because it was
He kept
dismissed.
dismissing
Okay.
it. Leon El-Alamin just kept doing different stuff. He turned off my water. He said I didn't have a lease. I showed the judge the lease. So the judge dismissed it. Then he turned off my consumers. He called consumers, gave the last four of my social. I can't say he did because it had to been a female, but they gave the last four of my social to where consumers had to give me a code for me to even call consumers because what he was doing. And this was just like unbelievable. Consumers was in my name. I called consumers and I told them, since y'all letting him turn this off,
Mhm.
y'all send my bill to Leon El-Alamin. Have him pay it.
Mhm.
Since he can just call y'all, give y'all the last four of my social and have my stuff turned off. But they turned it right back on because my son is a minor, plus he's disabled. Y'all cannot turn off anything
Right.
on a disabled child.
And you know what? And we're going to hear from your son in a little while. Do we want to take some questions or comments, since this is a community conversation?
But first.
So let's hear some of the questions or comments that the community has on this issue, because this is unbelievable.
It is.
This is unbelievable.
I really can't believe the police did nothing.
I
I
can't
had to
either.
literally take my son and drive to the police station. I had to go off on them. And like I told him, and I will say it again, if I was white, they would have did something.
Mm-hmm.
We have someone that says a whole criminal running wild. 2022 was not that long ago. Now, if it was 25 years ago, maybe. Boy, you have not changed, shaking my head. He lies. I can't imagine what that child was feeling. We have a whole judiciary system in that town should be investigated.
Yes, I agree.
Low down and dirty. Let me see. Elect Carol McIntosh for first ward. This is some slumlord trash BS.
I mean, really, the community, we should be outraged, because if this can happen to you, it can happen to anybody else. And that's what it lets us know.
That's
that
why
we are
I'm
not
going to
being
get my
protected.
voice out.
Exactly.
I have to protect my son once again.
And I just want to say thank you again for speaking up, because we need to hear the story. Because like we said, there's always two sides of a story. Why your side was not reported, I don't know.
Yeah,
But-
and like he said, he's slandering me.
Mhm.
I'm the mother of the child that was at that house alone. You're slandering me.
So how did you feel when you saw that he was appointed for First Ward City Council? He took Councilman, the councilman who we've always said, those are some big shoes to fill, because he was a voice. He stood up for the people. He was
I
not
was
scared.
appalled.
And
I
you
could
see-
not believe it. Leon El-Alamin taking over the late Eric Mays. How?
And what did
There's no way.
and
he should be
Eric
in
Mays
that
helped you
seat.
get your water back.
Yes, ma'am.
And he also told you that you needed to.
He had me call, I think her name was Amanda or Amanda, something like that. He had me call her. Like I said, I am so thankful for the late Eric Mays.
Who would be rolling over right now,
Yes, ma'am.
seeing what is going on. So do we want to, does Jalen want to come on?
Yes,
Can we
he does.
talk with
But for
Jalen?
his privacy and because he was so traumatized by this man, I'm going to protect my son's
You know what?
faith.
And I appreciate that. And that's exactly what we should do. You know, it hurts me as a mental health professional to know what your son had to go through and how that impacts him. And that's something that he can carry for the rest of his life.
Yes, it is.
And for him to have done that, has he ever apologized to you, to your child, to this community?
Never. Like I said, he's like bashing my name. Well, really not my name because he's saying his tenant, but his tenant is me, Nakia Wakes.
There's a name.
There's a name to the tenant now.
That's
Nakia
right. There's
Wakes,
a name and a
which
face.
I am her. And I was not at home. My son was home alone. My son was the one with the hoodie on at his house.
And he didn't have a gun.
No, he didn't. I didn't even have a gun in my house.
And you know, I mean, that could have gone so many ways.
It could have. It could have.
That could have gone so many ways. So do we want to have Jalen come on over?
Should I play it? I'll play something while we're getting everything together.
Okay, you are.
As long as I don't curse him out, and as long as I don't threaten him, I can say what I want. Am I correct? Yes, sir. We sick and tired of that.
We're supposed to be out of here, man.
Not a problem.
It's that bullshit, man.
And it sure is that you got away with this, but we're not going to let that happen. And that's why I'm so glad you allowed us to come in and you share the other side of the story.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, it's not just a heads, it's a heads and a tails.
There is.
You know, and so let's see both sides of the coin. Jalen, thank you. Thank you for coming on.
You will.
And I mean, this was in 2022. This is 2024. This was 2 years ago. When you, I mean, talk to us about that day.
Okay, so at the time, it was me and my 11-year-old friend, and we was walking to my house around the corner. And before we got to the house, we was sitting at the stop sign, and my friend had ran and peed on himself and left me.
He was scared?
Yep.
Wow.
And I was in shock, and I started crying, so I didn't know what to do. So I called the police, and Leon had a Draco walking across the street. He had told me that I don't live there no more and that I should leave. And he got back in his car and pulled off, and there was a man drilling into the house, into my house.
When you were on the phone with 911, what did they say to you?
I don't know what they had said to me, but I called them, and it took like 3 hours for them to come.
Okay, you stop. 3 hours.
Yeah.
So there's somebody at your house. You don't have, it's you and an 11-year-old
Yep,
there.
I had
Your mother is gone. And this guy has an automatic weapon. And they don't come?
Yep, that's what I had told them.
Is that, okay, you know what? That seems like a lawsuit or something. That just, I mean, something is wrong with this.
It is. My son was not protected. He is a minor. The police should have came out.
So what did you do? Did you then call your mother?
Yep, I called my mom and then she came over. Yep.
And what happened to did your friend leave? What happened?
Yeah, he had ran back to his house to get his dad. He had told his dad that he peed on himself and that it was a man at my house with a Draco. So his dad came over to me and he was trying to see if I'm okay because what his son said to him.
Wow. I mean, how does this happen?
Traumatize these boys.
Right.
Traumatize them.
Yeah.
For the rest
It
of
would
their
have
lives.
to. It would have to. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Mm-hmm. But that had to be scary for you.
Yeah, I was in shock. I didn't know what to do.
And that's why we're glad that you're here and you're talking about it. But that's the other reason that we want to make sure your identity is protected.
Yes.
Because you're still a minor.
Yes.
And and that's our responsibility, is to protect them, even when others don't.
Yes.
Even when others don't.
I couldn't even protect my own child. That's how I felt. With Leon El-Alamin coming to my door with a Draco. But I'm just wondering, if I was home, what would he have done? Killed me and my son? What were you bringing a Draco to my house for?
And
he knows I have no man.
And you still have
That's
not been served.
Still have not been served. No sheriff came to put my stuff out. None of that.
Because when people get evicted,
Nakia, Jalen, and my daughter moved all of our stuff about that house and went to the storage. I'm getting calls at the storage. Girl, your house on fire. I'm no longer there.
Yeah. What?
Yes. I'm at the storage. Me and my kids putting stuff in the storage.
We keep hearing about fires,
and people calling. I want to say, one of my friends, she called me like, girl, your house on fire. I'm no longer there. We was at the storage. My storage has cameras with us there all night, putting the stuff that we had in the U-Haul into the storage. So if somebody burnt the house down, he burnt his own house down. I didn't do it.
Well, we've heard that
as
a community concern, just so you know.
I didn't do it. And my son and daughter didn't do it neither. My son was 12.
And so the first judge dismissed. So these dismissals were in your favor.
Yes.
What happened? But it changed hands.
Yes.
Because you were with Judge Crawford.
Judge Crawford, I went to Judge Crawford. We went to Judge Crawford in April, May, June, July, and August. We went to Judge Crawford. All of a sudden, September rolled around. Mr. El-Alamin and his lawyers seen that they weren't getting anywhere with Judge Crawford. Judge Crawford was like, his house was going to be my house if he kept doing what he was doing. So,
because we see he wasn't taking care of it. We have a long list.
Oh, yes. And then the house
violations.
The house wasn't even registered for rental. So I feel like all them years I stayed there paying him rent, I should be getting my money back.
You know,
because he wasn't supposed to be rented out.
Right. That's what I was going to ask you.
At?
I had a question. Were you getting paid because he was using that as a place of business? Is how it was listed.
And how was that? And me and my disabled child was there.
That was one of my questions. Seems like you should have been getting something for that.
Right. And never got nothing. Nothing.
And so what happened with the last judge?
We ended up going in September, and I noticed it said Judge Quinn. So I'm like, it's been Judge Crawford all this time. Who is Judge Quinn? And I didn't get to go to court. I went on Zoom. Judge Quinn was not trying to hear nothing I was trying to say. He was like real mean. I mean, wasn't trying to hear nothing I was trying to say. But he did say, you're going to have to get out, or you're going to be evicted, is what he said. But I never got any eviction papers. I never got anything stating, if you don't be out by this time, the sheriffs will be in to put your stuff out. Anytime an eviction happens, you have to get them papers to say, if you're not out, or the sheriff's coming. Never received it. I took it upon myself when he came with that Draco to leave.
Okay. Well, you know, and I don't want to keep you Jalen, but I do. I just want to say thank you because you know, for coming, because that takes, you know, courage to come and speak up. And so I want to thank you for helping to let people know what's going on, because like I said, we've got an election going on. People are questioning character.
My son
And
was
character
traumatized.
matters. Character counts.
He sees
And
a psychiatrist.
yeah,
He takes
because of-
medicine
because of that.
because of this man. It was already enough trauma from the Flint water crisis. My son was 5
Right.
years old.
I
when that water
remember. I
crisis started.
remember.
He was suspended over 50 times.
Mhm.
5 years old.
Mhm.
They had 2-3 people restraining my child at 5 years old.
And now
And
this.
then now this, for a man to come to our house, I'm not there. I'm at work providing for me and my child as a single parent. This is just like too much trauma. Too much.
Sure is. It's hard to hear the story.
He has a child himself. How would he feel if somebody did this to his child?
Exactly. How would he feel if someone did this to his mother, his sister, grandmother? And like you said, or his child, his little brother. And
can you take this? Can you
okay.
just clarify the one comment about what happened with Slockin? Somebody said Slockin endorsed him for First Ward City Council.
Yes, Slockin endorsed him for First Ward City Councilman. When that was looked into, what we heard was that there was a form that he filled out. And they said that they vetted him. But then they heard about this, and what she said, and it's out there, I've seen it posted, was that she didn't endorse this type of behavior. She endorsed his vision for the First Ward. One of the things the people in the First Ward, and then we're not going to limit it to the First Ward, the people in the city of Flint talk about how crime is out of control, how violent this city is. So what is that vision that's being endorsed? I don't know. But that's why we talk about some people should stay out of local politics. And I'll stop with that, if that explains it for you. I don't know if that endorsement still holds or not, but okay. Anyway, I'm gonna leave that one alone. Is there anything else we need to look at? Jalen, thank you. Thank you for coming. We appreciate you. You are a brave young man.
Thank you.
You really are. And and it's like you said, I mean, that was a lot for you to come forward. And we're glad that you did, because for your story not to be told, for you to have reached out to the news media that is supposed to educate and inform this community, they are supposed to let us know what's going on so we can make the best decisions for ourselves and our families. And for that to be just hidden, not addressed. We're going to act like it didn't happen. We're not going to report it, but we're going to report this half of the story. But we're not even going to try to talk to the victim. We're not going to try to talk to this woman. I mean, that sounds like some Trumpy stuff to me, but anyway. Yeah, we're going to hear some more. We have a lot of comments, and I want to say I thank you all for tuning in, because people they've been asking, where's the rest of this story? And why wasn't it reported?
Well, I was scared really to come out because there's like so many people backing Leon El-Alamin up. And because I'm a poor single parent, I don't have nobody backing me up. So
you know what?
I did not feel
But you look
safe.
at all the people that
I
are
did
on
not
here.
feel safe.
You've got supporters.
I
People
do.
are glad that you're here. People are glad that you're telling
do.
your side of the story, because we knew that was one-sided. I mean, because there were questions that weren't even asked. I mean, because one question is, why would you take the law into your own hands? Even if everything he said was true.
Boyfriend was there, why didn't you call the police?
Right.
You bring a Draco for what?
You just decide I'm the law. I'm the vigilante, and I'm going to take care of this. I mean, they didn't question that. They didn't ask him about that. They didn't ask, well, where is the victim? Who is it? Is there a name to the face, a face to the name? None of that happened.
Right.
And a lot of people were asking about that. They said that didn't make sense. What kind of journalism reporting is that when everybody knows? So I'm glad that, because it took something for you to do this.
It did.
But you see, you have a lot of support.
And I appreciate everybody, and I appreciate you too for
Yeah,
coming into my home.
We wanted to hear this. This was important. Okay, Landon, I'm sorry.
Okay, let's see. Somebody said, ain't it against the law for a felon to have a firearm?
So, okay, let's stop right there for a minute, because
No longer
let's go
a
back.
felon.
Right, we're gonna go back to the interview, and that was what they were doing, was letting you know that his record had been expunged, and it was legal for him to carry. But I
But
don't
not to
know,
carry that type of
not to carry that type. And then I'm gonna go back to, in Michigan, brandishing a firearm in public is a misdemeanor offense, which is pointing, waving, or displaying a firearm in a threatening manner with intent to cause fear in another person. That's what happened that day. The penalty, up to 90 days in jail, a fine of 100, or both. That did not happen. Additional consequences: loss of concealed weapons permit for a minimum of 8 years. And we're saying none of these things took place. But what would happen if we did that?
Oh,
You
I
know,
would have been
what
locked
would
up, like I
happen?
said. If I would
Yeah.
have went on Sherman Street to Mr. El-Alamin's house.
Okay, wait. Okay, you know what? Let's talk about that for a
Yes,
minute, because
I worked with him.
Okay, so and that and
If
while
I would've went
part
on
of Sherman
Street,
is in
the
Flint,
dirt road.
some of it is not in Flint, y'all.
Oh, his is not in Flint. I want to say it's close to Jennings. But if I would have went on Sherman Street to his house, believe you me, Nakia would be in Genesee County. But I wouldn't have had no problem with it, because this was over my child.
Right.
That the police
They don't
did
know.
not protect.
We will go crazy.
I will. They think me fighting
Over
for
our
the water
kids.
crisis. You don't think I'm
Right.
finna fight you
Because
about
we
my
traveled a
child?
lot together,
A lot.
doing things during the water crisis. And you
My
know,
son was 5.
I remember.
He
I
had come a
remember.
long ways from that, and then to be
And then to-
traumatized
again by someone that is now the voice. But we have a chance to make change.
We do.
We have a chance to make change.
We do.
I mean, you had to be. Oh, yes.
All right, so I'm gonna start off. This is all allegedly. So did Leon set Rose campaign headquarters on fire? And somebody said, who burned Rosemary's campaign headquarters? So that is a question that's going on. Y'all don't have to answer. I'm just going through.
I'm just listening.
Well, the 2.5 years that I stayed at 606 East Mott, me and my kids watched 3 houses on fire on that street. Leon was talking about taking over that whole community over there. So I just can't say that Leon did it, but I mean, there was a lot of fires on my street. I didn't do them.
He said, I know that. Okay. Are you going to give us another comment from the peoples?
Yep, just for legal purposes, throw that in there. Okay, all allegedly. Okay, sorry. Buildings on fire, signs stolen, cut, and defaced. Thuggish. Leon is a criminal. He has broke so many laws. Sounds like he was scamming. How many properties that he has had fires? And that's kind of what you just went into. And insurance collected.
Right. But
I
set the fire.
Somebody said, where Leon stay?
Sherman.
Said Judge Quinn, huh? When is he up for re-election? Sounds like the same vandals that destroyed Carol's campaign posters around Flint. He's a made man, he told us. So now May's death is suspicious, huh? Somebody said that judge was paid. Let me go down a little bit further. What was her job working for him?
Oh, I was his assistant. I have cards and everything with my name. I was his assistant.
And so when you wouldn't go along with some of the things he wanted you to do,
that's when the problem came in. First of all, he was having meetings with Sheldon Neely, and he was always sending me to the meetings. And me and Sheldon really don't get along neither, because he was running for mayor and he put me and my son's face up on his little thing. And I told him, I'm not even voting for you. I'm voting for Karen. How can you, first of all, use my child that you didn't get permission for me for? Every time during the water crisis, I had to sign something for somebody to take a picture of my child. So how did you feel that it was okay for you to use me and my child? And I'm not even voting for you.
I remember that.
So when I was coming into the meetings, he was like, oh, Mr. El-Alamin is going to have to come down here himself because I see you're always coming. He's going to have to show his face up. Because me and Sheldon, I really didn't get along with him. He is just as corrupt as Mr. Leon El-Alamin.
And so when that happened, that's when you started having problems with him.
Yes, I had been hearing about Leon, but I'm like, no, you know, I work for him. He even had me do nothing. But then as I kept working and, oh, well, I'm gonna need you to do this. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not signing my John Hancock to nothing.
Now, while you're on that, someone said he was also hitting on her while she was working for him. This is ugly, backwards, and forwards.
Yes. And like I told him, I don't mix business with pleasure. We were strictly business.
Let's see. So let's talk about the other laws broken besides the gun, the unlawful entry, the intimidation.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds like a Lifetime movie. And I'm not saying y'all names on purpose, just so you know. What's crazy is Leon texting her late, telling her to come over. He is a effing predator. Lock him up with Diddy.
Man, for real.
Somebody earlier, I don't know where the comment is, but it said Leon Green Diddy surviving or something. So yeah, reference to Leon had a video about Carol using voter intimidation tactics. No truth to him at all. Hearing this, Leon is flying on the wings of Eric Mays. This bell jumpers don't care about the first ward.
He only cares about himself and that money.
And then somebody said he was running for what? And man, this is getting so much clearer.
And that's what we want. We want this to be clear because they
Yeah.
want the water muddy and we want to clear it up. And that's why it was important to have your voice, to have your story for people to hear what really took place that day.
That's
And
why I'm
it's just-
proud to say that I'm the tenant, Nakia Wakes. That he was talking about my tenant. I'm the tenant, Nakia Wakes, a single parent that lived there with me and my child. No man, no boyfriend.
And he still to this day has not apologized.
Never.
And I think that's why this is so important that we're, people need to know
They
who
do.
they're, because we have an election coming up.
They do.
People need to know who they're voting for. People need to know who they want to represent them.
There's
and
no
so
way he
let's-
should be in the first ward seat. He shouldn't be in no seats at all.
He's in the hot seat right now. I know that. And so I just want to ask you, is there anything that I did not ask you, Nakia, that you think is important for the people to know? Because I know how important this was to you.
Yes.
To come and tell your story.
The only thing I can say is get out here and vote. Get Leon El-Alamin up out of there. He should have never been placed in first ward anyways. Never.
Landon, do we have anything else? I think before we close, though, I'd like people to see the video again. I want to remind you of what took place at your home.
Yes.
When you weren't there.
I was at
and
work.
Your 12-year-old son
was home alone
with an 11-year-old, and they were terrorized by this man.
minors.
Let's play his excuse really quick.
Okay.
To take a previous tenant to court to evict them. They was refusing to leave the home. They had no lease. They were living in the house illegally. I went through.
We're supposed to be out of here, man.
Not a problem.
Yeah, it's that bullshit, man. Fuck it, it's changes, D. Or you think I should wait?
What's up with me?
Man, he done signed off on this shit. She had all this time to get this shit up out of here, bro.
I don't know what that would mean legally if you did it, but.
Once he signed, I posted it. I have right to come in his bitch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can change this out. Fuck it. Change it out. Whatever she bust didn't want this shit.
Hold up, man. Look, I got my. There we go. You're back.
Well, all right. We brought it to you. We kept saying there was more. You know, what was that show? And now for the rest of the story. We brought you the rest of the story, and we couldn't have done it without you being strong enough and brave enough to come forward and speak. And that's what we need. And that's the kind of leadership we're looking for in the city of Flint. We need people that aren't scared. We need people that are going to stand for the truth. And inform this community. They're going to vote for the people and not for themselves.
Yes.
And those are the kinds of things we see happening. And to see what you and your son had to go through is absolutely awful. And there needs to be some accountability for that. There should be legal accountability. There should have been accountability with the police not coming when someone was there with an assault weapon. There should have been some accountability from the news media to bring the full story, because we deserve to know it. It's our community, it's our news, and it's about us. And they are supposed to, that's what they're supposed to do. And so I have to say thank you again for opening up your home, letting us come and have this conversation with you.
You're welcome.
And if there's anything we can do to be supportive, you know who to call. And you see, you've got a lot of support out there.
Thank you all.
You've got a lot of support.
Thank you.
So I want to thank you all for tuning in this evening to Real Talk. And we are going to keep you informed. So thank you and have a great night.
What's on the ballot this November election? Click What's on the ballot at michigan.gov/vote to find the ballot for your precinct.